My name is Jessica Lukas, and today I'm going to do a presentation on the coffee supply chain. So first I want to go over and pull up my PowerPoint. Okay, there it is. So this is the coffee supply chain presentation. So the practice of coffee drinking and growing has been around for hundreds of centuries, and the birthplace of coffee itself originated in Kaffa, Ethiopia. Today, coffee holds great importance in the global economy and is one of the most valued products in world trade. Coffee is grown in a number of different countries such as Asia, Africa, Central and South America, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. And the coffee industry and its supply chain provide employment for hundreds of millions of people around the world. So one key point regarding the coffee supply chain would be the coffee supply chain phases. There are four main phases, which include agricultural, production, distribution, and transportation. And agricultural is the first stage, which obviously grows, cultivates, harvests, and treats the coffee bean. Next is production, and this is where facilities clean, roast, grind, and then package to be able to get it ready to ship to facilities so they can sell to the customer. And distribution, that consists of the physical logistics for each coffee company moving inventory from one different selling facility to another. And examples of areas in the distribution phase can include inventory management, product control, monitoring trends, and of course, marketing to the customer. The last major phase would be the transportation phase, and this can take place on a regional, national, and international level. And transportation phase takes place between the agricultural, production, and distribution phase, such as from farmers to roasting facilities or from distribution facilities ultimately that lead to the customer. The next point worth mentioning would be customer needs in the coffee supply chain. The first customer need that's really important would be customer relations. Obviously, all customers in a supply chain have need, and in the coffee supply chain, the first is being able to have an overall relationship with the different companies whose coffee products they purchase and show brand loyalty to. A relationship between a customer and the coffee supply chain can include making sure customer feedback, complaints, and issues are heard, which is always an important area for the customer. They obviously want to make sure that their opinions are being heard. Another customer need would be product quality. Coffee companies are using the quality chain in order to guarantee customers experience quality in all coffee products. Quality is important because with many different types of coffee products out there, it is important for each customer supply chain to ensure quality, or else a customer is going to go to another competitive brand. Lastly, another customer need would be sustainable practices. More and more people are becoming increasingly aware of the damage being done to the environment through unsustainable business practices. So obviously they want to feel good about buying a product that they know the supply chain is doing everything they can to reduce their carbon footprint. Another area worth mentioning would be characteristics and decisions that impact supply chain performance. And this, of course, would be strategic planning, operating, and performance decisions. So like an example of a strategic decision that could impact the supply chain will be marketing, because that will ultimately impact the supply chain, because with fierce competition in the coffee industry, marketing will allow a supply chain to achieve a competitive advantage. When it comes to planning decisions, relationships between buyers and suppliers are important planning decisions that can shape the overall performance of the coffee supply chain, because you need to have reliable suppliers to create solid relationships in order to produce a quality product. When it comes to operating decisions, one important operating decision would be decisions regarding transportation. Obviously, transportation is a big part of the coffee supply chain, and it takes a central role in being able to make the supply chain as seamless as possible. So one thing a supply chain needs to figure out is what type of primary mode of transportation is suitable for each general flow of the supply chain. Next, we have performance decisions, which can ultimately affect the financial performance of the supply chain. So new ideas, performance decisions such as new ideas are important. They need to continue, a supply chain needs to continue to use innovation and exploit new ideas and to adapt to change in order to improve and keep up with competition and new types of products. So another thing worth mentioning would be the importance of geographical locations within the supply chain. One of the locations in the supply chain would be Ethiopia, and they take care of the agricultural phase. And it's important to analyze your geographical locations because they can have pros and cons that can ultimately affect your performance. For instance, the pros of using Ethiopia in the supply chain was they have a good reputation for coffee. They have a very diverse type of coffee bean and many different genetic types of coffee beans, more than like other competitive countries. And like I said before, they have a quality product. Now, the cons of using Ethiopia in the supply chain is they really have a lot of political changes, economic problems, and environmental problems in recent years that have caused government changes, land damage, which will ultimately affect the crop being produced and having a quality product. Next, I want to talk about uncertainties in the coffee supply chain. So the first uncertainty that we have would be price instability, and this can consist of unpredictability regarding a lack of fixed price agreements between traders, buyers, and sellers. And also price instability within the coffee supply chain can be caused by a fluctuation of local and international coffee prices. Another uncertainty would be quality within the coffee supply chain. Unpredictability regarding quality can be caused by climate change, as well as inconsistent coffee processing methods that buyers need to be aware of. One last uncertainty in the coffee supply chain would be delays. And product delays within the coffee supply chain can occur due to a variety of physical factors. Some of the more common delays within the coffee supply chain can affect material flow, such as when a supplier cannot respond to a change in demand or have a poor quality output at a facility. Now, in order to better manage these uncertainties, managers in this coffee supply chain have to apply strategies and techniques in order to ensure these risks do not permanently cripple the success of the business, such as risk management, forecasting, and sustainable practices. Lastly, I want to talk about recommendations in order to improve the coffee supply chain. The first would be establishing supply chain metrics. This is important in order to provide timely insights that will allow supply chain management to react more quickly to issues. Some important metrics could include customer satisfaction, product quality, and sustainability. Key performance metrics are important because they can measure how certain processes are functioning, what needs to improve, and what goals and targets are met. Next, recommendation would be enhance supplier relations. One way to improve performance in the coffee supply chain would be through enhanced supplier relations. The coffee supply chain should use supply chain management in order to enhance relationships between the supplier and other parts of the supply chain. Obviously, having a relationship between suppliers is important. Managers and leaders in the coffee supply chain should communicate effectively with suppliers in order to allow the supply chain process to run more efficiently, such as through better managed inventory and purchasing goods. One way they can enhance supplier relationships could be through supplier relationship management technology, which can allow managers to better monitor and manage supplier performance. So in conclusion, we have learned that the coffee supply chain is a complex process. It is full of many different levels that all rely on each other in order to work cohesively and produce a finished quality product. Managers and leaders in the supply chain need to continuously seek out ways to improve upon their supply chain while still keeping performance metrics and customer needs in mind. Doing so will help the supply chain stay profitable, cut costs, and ultimately deliver a final quality product to the customer. So that concludes my presentation on the coffee supply chain. Thank you.